Valentine, mabhugu, and today our focus is on infrastructure development in the country. Where are we as a country, and how can we attract investors to invest in the infrastructure development sector, and what needs to be done, and what are we doing as a country to achieve this? And is conferencing part of the strategy that we can best attract investors and showcase our country, sell our country, and let them see our cooperation? And what should we be doing? Should we be going for PPPs, that is private partnerships as well, or there are other investment opportunities that we can attract, and how can we make it easy for investors to be attracted to the country? And to discuss this and much more as we build up to the Infrastructure Development Summit that will be taking place in the resort town of Victoria Falls, we've invited Mr. Ngoni Dziroti to be with us in the studio to help us understand and appreciate and see how we can move on as a country. Good morning, Mr. Dziroti, and welcome to the Grill on Classic 63.
Good morning, Fale. Thank you.
All right, let's start to get us started. I know there's a big conference that will be happening in Victoria Falls starting on Wednesday, but let's look at what we need to be doing as a country. Our infrastructure is it's for us to realize Vision 2030. Part of that is improving our infrastructure development sector, but we cannot do it alone as a country. We need investors. Where are we right now, and what do we need to do?
Okay, in terms of where are we, I'm sure you can all see that we are still, trying to make it there, and we're trying to attract investors. We are trying to assemble the right resources, so that our infrastructure gets developed. So what we need to do is to showcase the opportunities. Firstly, opportunities come from challenges. We have to, unveil our challenges. From our challenges, that's where the opportunities are unveiled, and that's where now we identify that, we, as for instance, we have got a challenge of no electricity. That being a challenge, that calls for more investment in that sector's infrastructure. Then, for instance, we have got a challenge of non-availability of water or scarcity of water. So that calls for more construction of dams, which being the opportunities that are available. And also, where are these challenges, where are these opportunities, and where are they, so that they can all be, looked into and be resolved at once.
Having said that, let's look at are we doing enough as a country through government and local investors as well to attract investment in that sector? Is it lucrative enough now where we are as a country for investors to be coming in and investing in infrastructure development in Zimbabwe?
Sure, it is lucrative, because once there are challenges, there are opportunities. So those opportunities, they are lucrative, and anyone who is an investor would come on board seeing the opportunities that are available.
So where are we not getting it? Or why are we not even attracting at the moment? We could be seeing movement. We could be seeing excavators working and so forth. But yes, we're seeing roads are being done and so forth. But in terms of electricity, should we be going solar? What should we be doing? And so forth. We are not seeing that activity as much as we possibly want.
No, it's coming up. But it's only that it comes in phases. For instance, Total was, rolling out its project of, putting solars on their save stations. DPA is doing, they recently, last year launched the Schweppes project. So basically they come in phases. And, infrastructure, you have to look at, these are long-term projects, and they're capital intensive. And being capital intensive, there's what we call feasibility studies, which should be done. For instance, if you want to construct a dam, you need to do feasibility studies, and feasibility studies, they'll take a year or two before the construction really happens. For instance, also give you, for instance, a road. For a road, to be constructed, there should be some feasibility studies first. Once they are done, then if they are bankable, then investors post their money. Then that's where you start to see the activity happening, like those graders running around, excavators running around. Sure.
Having said that, Zimbabwe is currently going through a challenging economic situation. How much of an impact does it have as well in attracting investment into the sector as well, and making sure that there's also investment in that field?
Yeah, like I said, economic challenges, they pose as an opportunity. We are, will always, say, oh, challenge, if you face challenge, then you start to cry and so forth. But challenges are opportunities. And those opportunities, they're the ones which attract investors. So in terms of, where are we in terms of attracting more? So we have to unveil those opportunities to the investors so that they come on board.
How do we do so?
Okay, for instance,
because we want to know how can we attract investment.
How can we attract investors? For instance, like Global Renaissance is hosting this infrastructure summit in Vicforce, where those challenges and opportunities are unveiled to the investors so that they understand what's on the ground and how they can come on board. And also the financing, how we can finance those projects that need funding. So what we have to do is to make noise. For instance, I'll give you a good example for Rwanda. How Rwanda is developing. How Rwanda is developing is because they are making noise about their country, a positive noise actually for that matter, which would attract investors to their country. That's the same we should try to apply as Zimbabwe. We make noise that, Zimbabwe is open for business, the opportunities that are available are so and so, and come on board. And for investors, these are the incentives that we are unveiling to you. So the Zimra, PRAS, all those institutes, they should come on board. Zera and Zinara, they should all come and try to unveil more opportunities in those sectors so that investors comes on board. That noise is not really happening. That's
what I was about to ask you, to say, are all those institutions that you have mentioned doing enough for us to attract that kind of investment that you envisage, that you are gathering people together to say Zimbabwe is open for business, these are the opportunities that are available?
They could be doing the noise in their corners, but is it enough? Because the noise, it should be loud and clear. It should be, across all boards. And that we have been not seeing much. And hence this conference is another platform which will try to make noise about those opportunities.
But is conferencing really something that does bring investors, or it will be having lunches, teas and touring, and that's it, and it ends there? Because most people have been saying we Zimbabweans, we love to have a sit down quite a lot without much action happening on the ground. We enjoy having these sit downs, bringing up these brilliant ideas, and then when it comes to implementation, we are found slacking.
You know what? I'll tell you, for any good thing to happen, it starts with conversation. It starts with an engagement, and that creates synergies, and that creates more engagement as well. So conferences are very key to any economic development, because that's the platform where, like I said, the challenges are shared, and also the investors would have an in-depth look of those opportunities, and also they'll create synergies with the right people, because the people who come to the conference, they are the right people. They are the people with the mindset of developing. They want to understand, like for instance, from the policy level, what's the policy level, from the partners in those countries, what do they expect, how are they currently doing, how can they come and get assisted in terms of financial help. So these platforms, they are very important and they're very key, because that's where it begins. That's the beginning of good things.
This is the Green Right John Classic. This is 3 Let's Hit the Tills and Pay the Rent. And we'll be back after these messages as we continue talking about infrastructure development in Zimbabwe. What can we do? Which way should we be moving? And how can we attract investment? And of course, the biggest question, is conferencing the best way to go about it. Remember, you can be part of this conversation. You can get in touch with us on our WhatsApp platform 0719-498-651. Come in with your contributions. Let's get talking about that as well as we converse and look to build Zimbabwe as well. Did you know ZINDEF funded the commercialization of the National University of Science and Technology NUST's Applied Genetics Testing Center, AGTC? The center offers the following: DNA testing services, human identification, individual DNA profiling, paternity testing, motherless paternity test, standard paternity test, and court-admissible paternity test, medical diagnostics, HIV viral load tests, relationship DNA testing, sibling analysis, grandparent DNA testing, avuncular uncle or aunt testing, Y chromosome test, that is paternal lineage analysis. There's also forensic analysis, that is sexual assault cases, murder cases, identification of individuals involved in catastrophic accidents, identification of human remains in missing person cases. The center has previously been contracted to conduct DNA profiling on national projects such as the Mvuma bus disaster and Cyclone Idai disaster. The AGTC is already reducing the outflow of forex in the country, and as it is performing functions that were in the past only offered outside Zimbabwe. ZINDEF, your partner in human capital development.
Are the earliest form of trade known to mankind, a symbol of wealth, wisdom, and growth. They represent safely invested assets and play an integral role in creating cultural ties. Like the creation of a beaded masterpiece, the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair facilitates the beading of a strong global network of international trading partners and value chain players. Be a part of profitable discussions to enhance your business growth strategies and competitiveness by exposing them to the latest innovations, technologies, and trends on Spotlight at the ZITF 2020, taking place from 21 to 25 April. For all this and more, contact us on 029-288-4911 up to 6 or register to participate via our website www.zitf.co.zw. ZITF 2020. Augmenting trade and investment towards a shared economic vision.
Welcome back to the grill, where today we're hosting Mr. Ngolidzi Roti with us in the studio as we talk about infrastructure development in Zimbabwe. Right, Mr. Zroto, before we took that commercial break, we were focusing our attention on what we need to be doing. Do you feel that government has done enough in terms of policy to enable and attract investment into the infrastructure development sector? In your own perspective.
Okay, in my opinion, they are trying. Nothing much has been done, but you know...
You're being diplomatic?
No, it's not. But I'm being honest.
Okay.
Yeah, coming from where we were, you know, with old dispensation, you know, things like there are lots of unfavorable policies like the indigenization policy, which has been repealed, which is a plus, you know, and you know more needs to be done. Not only that, in terms of also now, you know, the issue of, you know, financial stableness, you know, and I'm sure now there's much call about, you know, should we re-dollarize, de-dollarize, you know, should it continue, you know, such talk. And if a solution is found to that, you know, so many reforms needs to be done, and there's so many, you know, things which are yet to be done.
There's also one sector that we always forget when we talk about investors coming in. Yeah. We always talk about FDIs and so forth, but we always forget the local investor.
Yeah.
Do you feel they have the capacity? And do you feel also they have the zeal and energy to take up some of these projects? And are they being given equal opportunities as those foreign investors as well to help in the investment of in infrastructure development?
Sure. You know, local investors have got so much appetite about the opportunities that are available, And as you can see on some of our speakers, we have got some of the big investors, for instance, the chairman of West Properties, who have developed the Prospect, project in Waterfalls, and they're also doing another one in Borodale, and also they are the guys who wants to build the Mall of Africa in Borodale. So you see, they have the appetite for this market, and they are keen to invest more. And the local investors, they are the ones who understand the current dynamics, and hence, they are very keen to pour more money in the economy. And they also have to be supported into given sort of like incentives as well, so that they keep on investing and boosting the economy.
When we talk about incentives, let's not generalize here, Mr. Zirati. What are we really focusing on? Because I think most people will be desperate to say, let's give them incentive. But what incentive are we talking about? Tax rebates? What are we really focusing on?
Sure. Because any investor usually, the major cost, which is not really tied to the income, are taxes. And taxes, they have to be favorable. And once they are favorable, you'll find more local investors very keen on pumping and investing in more projects.
0242-49651 or 0242-49631. Those are the two numbers you can call in and in your contribution and be part of this conversation that we're having right here on The Grill as we look at infrastructure development. Are we doing enough as a country? What do we need to be doing? And is there supportive government policies to attract investment? And also looking at, is conferencing really necessary or the starting point to attract investors as we try to woo them into investing in the country? 0719498651. Okay, let's take this one. Which says, good morning, Val. Government policy, the way we deal with corruption and selection of application of law, no investor will invest. Edipa Zengeza. Thank you very much, Edi, for getting in touch. Good morning to you. This one says, considering Zimbabwe's history, even our current modus operandi of corruption, financial misappropriation, needing to be connected to get permits, policy inconsistency, etc., who would invest their money with a piece of mod? All right, let's take a call. Radio, good morning. Radio, good morning. Hello, good morning. You're live on Classic 263. Yes, you're live. Please go ahead. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I think there are some things that are missing there. Because if Zimbabwe has been got so many challenges that we have had in this country. And my friend there in the studio saying the more the challenges is more likely that the opportunities that present themselves. Then it's the more likely that we have to attract investment. I think he's getting lost. Zimbabwe does not have a good climate to attract investment. Even if politicians or those people go and have so many conferences which are wasting money, wasting the taxpayers' resources in Victoria Falls, they will not attract investment. The reason are why are our boss people in Zimbabwe moving away from Zimbabwe and go and work for so-called stable economy? It's because those economies are able to attract the capital that can be used in building those economies. As long as we do not have a good climate in Zimbabwe to attract investment, investors don't need to be called to Zimbabwe.
But having said that, all right, can I just interject and we converse together? In your own opinion, don't you think the entrepreneur mind tells you that when there are problems, they need solutions? And doing so is thereby looking for opportunities where there are problems.
Right. You see why is it that all these problems that he has been mentioning have been available in Zimbabwe for the past 2 decades or 3 decades? Are entrepreneurs not seeing that there are challenges in Zimbabwe? Are entrepreneurs seeing that there's no electricity, there's no fuel, there are no roads, there's nothing in Zimbabwe? No games, everything, nothing. For the past 2 decades. say they contribute to the environment for investors in Zimbabwe, why are investors in Zimbabwe anyway?
All right.
That is talking about is going to the nuclear conference because investors know the reason why they are not coming to Zimbabwe. And even if they are going to have their conference on the moon, no investor will come to Zimbabwe.
All right.
And our own people in Zimbabwe should be able to invest in Zimbabwe.
All right. Thank you very much for that contribution. Quite a lengthy one, but valid one. Yes, talking about the issue we were touching on as well that you responded to say, do you feel that with the current situation in the country, this is just a gathering that won't really, be fulfilling or beneficial, or that will have itself after pregnant with good results?
Sure, it will be, because investors, they want to understand the market. How do they understand the market? They understand by conversing with the people in the market, and this is such a platform that offers that opportunity, and also to understand from policy level, policy makers. We've got Minister of Transport has come in, infrastructure development is one of the keynote speakers, Minister of Energy, we've got Minister of Tourism. They're going to share the policies that they're implementing in their various sectors, which will draw investors in those sectors, and also to try to understand from investors what they really want, so that they can also accommodate their concerns.
All right, 0242498651. All right, good morning. We have a currency which is not known outside our borders. Bond notes which we use for buying fuel, electricity, surfacing of roads, drugs, etc. How bond notes help to bring these goods and services into the country? Does excess supplies, which our Honorable Minister of Finance claims to have, can renovate our stadiums, portals, mill, fuel, etc.? Some of us can't afford a bag of cement, doors, etc. Right, thank you very much for that contribution. But I'll ask you, even those countries that have their own currencies like Zambia and so forth, they use their same currency, but they still manage to do those things. So I don't know where you're getting, help me understand where you're getting about the bond and so forth, and everything else in between, because we don't use kwachas. Kwachas are not even used beyond our borders. They're only used in Zambia as well. Yeah. But 0719498651. Let's get talking with the value contributions right here. Morning. As long as we don't have a stable currency, it will be difficult to embark on major projects. For example, a Godin project in Bulawayo, nothing is being done. Ngube from Bulawayo. Thank you very much, Ngube, for getting in touch. The issue to do with stable currency and how you explain to investors for them to say, this is what we are offering, and this is what is on the ground, this is what is happening in Zimbabwe, and these are the opportunities that are there, these are the problems that are there, and how can you make yourself fit into that investment? Is it part of the conversation as well?
Sure. We have got a financial issue, models and schemes that should be implemented by the nation, and also what the policymakers should do. In terms of, I heard the previous caller was talking about, if we don't have, if our currency is not stable, investors will not come on board. Not necessarily. Yes, it's one of the factors that investors look at, but for projects, they look at the long term, because infrastructure is a long term and the rewards are a long term, not immediately. So in the long term, given the reforms that are being implemented, the currency will stabilize. That's why now we see the project by the Russians now kickstarting in Zimbabwe, the Platinum project, and also the project, the Gormons one, the lithium project, they are starting to roll on, and also, the other one which will be happening in Matabeleland for the oil and gas, exploration. So, because the investors, those are the investors, and the investors, like I told you, they come on board given the opportunities and the challenges, so that they solve the challenges. And that's why they don't really look at the current, they look at the long term, because those projects are long term. In the next 10 to 15 years, the results, will start to come in, and also the currency by then, I'll tell you, in the next 5 years, the currency issue would have stabilized, given the increase in the economic activity. And these projects, they're going to stabilize the current situation, because they're going to create more employment, and more employment means more money, and having more money in disposable income. That would mean the growth of GDP. That would enable the economy to focus on other exportable things, to generate the foreign currency, and that to, in the end of the day, stabilize the current situation that we are facing.
0719498651, that is our WhatsApp number. You can get in touch or call us on 0242498651 or 0242498631. Let's go back to our messages. This one says, indeed, engaging, conversing, opening up for networking and networks, revealing your stand and road to the world with boldness is the bedrock of active participation and development, which is what the Second Republic has done and is doing, which the First Republic was too embarrassed to and unpragmatic to follow in order to realize the country's economic ideals. 0719498651. 0719498651 is the number you can get in touch with us right here on Classic 263. Get in touch. Let's get talking as we look at investor. And this one says an investor requires a return that is competitive. Any situation that does not afford this important factor will scare the investor. 0719498651 or 0242498651 or 0242498631. You can call live in the studio and get in touch with us. All right, this is just a gathering, Valentine. How many of such have been held? What has happened after ZITF? The economy fell 7% last year. The government is not serious with policies. They just concentrate on civil servants' salaries. Ngwenya in Bulawayo. Thank you very much, Ngwenya, for getting in touch with us. Yeah, this one says, we are not... okay, this one says, good morning. For infrastructure development to take place, the starting point is government policy. Second, current stability. Even if we make noise about our country, when we don't have the above, nothing will come our way. We are not being supported as local investors. For example, we made applications for commercial stays in East Caledonia in 2015 and only to be called for interview in 2017. Just imagine, from 2017 up to now, no one has replied to. Please start to support a local people through small. There are some of the contributions coming through from our listeners.
Sure. I'm sure, there is a process that they're doing, and I'm sure, processes in the previous dispensation, they were very cumbersome and at times yield no much result. For instance, I remember that was when the NRZ awarded a tender to a competitive, supplier, and in the new dispensation it was reviewed and found that this supplier couldn't do much. So basically those are some of the challenges that were there, and which are being panel beated so that they suit the current government's objectives.
All right, 0242-498-651, 0242-498-651. Currency, political, policy consistency, economic stability, elephants in the room, conferences to solve that, policies and raw clarity. But as people that always, work in terms of bringing in and saying and opening up the doors to investors to come and explore in Zimbabwe through conferences, do you feel that you are doing enough to also lobby government in terms of policy formulation, in terms of coming up with policies that are attracting investors and what investors are saying? Do you feed back to government to say, this is what investors are saying,
yes,
this is what you ought to be doing?
Yes.
Is this part of the role that you also bring in to say you are helping government see the light, so to speak, in terms of what people are really mentioning? Because all the messages that are coming through, they're pointing on the same issues.
Sure. I'm sure, at the conference, the government officials will be available, will be in attendance, and they will be hearing, it from the horse's mouth rather than through, other platforms, and which is key. And from there, they'll start to formulate, the right policies. So this is the platform that brings, all the key stakeholders under one roof, and discuss and formulate the right policies and share more notes on how we can promote investment in the nation.
All right, let's take more messages. 0719498651. 0719498651. Good morning. The removal of multi-currency system is paralyzing and discouraging FDI. As long as there is no stability and predictability in the currency, there will be less commitment. How do you inject hard currency into the economy converted at interbank rates, yet material and plant hire is at black market rates? The return in the form of, for example, rentals will be in Zimbabwe dollars, whose value is not very stable. Finance Minister, please resuscitate export quality producing industries so that there is demand for the Zimbabwe dollar, thus making it internationally recognized. Investors will then be more confident in investing infrastructure development. Thank you very much for that contribution. That is Tando in Bulawayo. Right, this one says, these conferences are, SACAT countries have finished a road that will pass Zim because of lack of investment in infrastructure. That is lost revenue. We are not serious. These conferences are required because besides going to conferences and meetings and getting per diems, this government will do nothing less than do what they are good at. 0719498651. Conferences are the best way to kickstart the country and move on in terms of attracting investment. Let's keep at it. Good morning. Our economy situation is totally a turn off to investors. Thank you very much for getting in touch. This one says, all right, this one says, good morning. Interesting conversation on investment in the country. What happened to the previous investment with local and international visitors who were operating in the country? The ease of doing business policies is still not opening up both investors. It is still clouded in corruption, scaring away both investors from Nobet Dube in Bulawayo. The ease of doing business, is it another area of focus that is paramount as well? And have you been lobbying government as well to look into that as well?
Sure. The new legislation which has come into play, the ZIDA, it's a key one. I'll give you a good example. I was in Rwanda. In Rwanda, under the Rwanda Development Board, that's where everything is done. And everything is done under one roof. And I'll tell you what, the ease of doing business in Rwanda, it's easy. It's just you walk in and you walk out with everything. So that needs to be applied as well, and I'm sure this new board which has come into play is going to spruce up and also to improve our ease of doing business as a nation. But it's one of those small factors really that the investors focus on, like I said. Because for instance, the investors that I have just spoken about, they came in before this was in play because of the attractiveness of our projects. So basically what you have to do is we have to make noise about the project that we have and all these other things. There are other factors, yes, I agree. They contribute, but not marginal. What is very key now is to make noise about the opportunities that are available so that, any investor would hear that there is an opportunity there. You come and assess for themselves. If they are not happy, they'll just leave. If they're happy, they'll come on board, like the previous ones have been on board. And also, like I said, the local investors, they are, 100% behind, in terms of improving investment in the various spheres of the economy. And they are attracted by the margins that are in those sectors. And that is what is key. And these other factors, yes, they'll come into play, the issue of corruption, being handled, those are other things, the ease of business. There are other factors, yes, they contribute, but they're not like, out of percentage. I know they're just about 20% effect, 80% is the project bankable. Because for instance, if the project is not bankable, you've got good ease of doing business, really would come on board if the project will run into a loss? Nobody. So basically, it's the bankability of the project that is very key.
0719498651. That is our WhatsApp platform. This says, while there are teething problems in the economy has an array of attractive strengths and lucrative opportunities, which is what should be focused on while indicating the temporary setbacks like the currency, among others. We have to be positive ourselves for investors to be keen and positive about investment. Is this
sure?
Is this something that you are doing?
Yes.
Remaining positive
yes.
Against all the adversary that we are facing as a country.
Yes, sure. You have to be positive. Like actually, I gave a good example that Rwanda, despite all the adversities that they are facing, they are very positive about their nation, and that's why everyone is trying to run to Rwanda now, because they are making the right noise. Because if you make the wrong noise, because if, for instance, in your house, if your kids starts to make noise, no one will come to your house, because everyone say, "Ah, that's a noisy house." No one, those people, I don't think they are stable. So we have to be stable. We have to make the right noise, the positive noise, which will attract the investors in those sectors.
How important is the attitude of togetherness or lack of it in attracting investment? Because I think that's another critical area.
Sure.
Because I also understand that in Zimbabwe, I think with the current situation we find ourselves in, we must be having surely the cheapest labor, which should, by the way, be attracting investors and favorable labor laws for investors.
Yeah, sure. Attitude is the key. I could tell you what, attitude is everything, and attitude, that's the one which drives any nation higher. In fact, I will give a good example. America. Have you heard an American criticizing America? No. They say America first and Americans first. That's their key. They value their economy. They value their country. No matter what happens, we have had the riggings in USA, which are made, but they never criticized that, and they never criticized the economy, and the economy is sound and it's booming. Basically, for instance, I'll give you a good example. In Kenya, I remember there was a discourse in terms of these two key politicians, but when they united, there was right attitude, right? And right attitude is the one which drives an economy and grows it. So that's what we want in Zim. In Zim, we have to be united, and once united, we put the right attitude, and our economy will boom in a minute.
Therefore, what does government need to do moving forward? What do investors locally need to do? What do Zimbabweans in general ought to be doing to help and aid in attracting investment in the country? Those three there that I've mentioned before we even attract the international investor to come in, and what type of policies should we be setting aside to attract the international investor? Those four things.
Okay. Basically, in a nutshell, all those people, they have to come under one roof, which is like for this conference, the infrastructure conference that we are having in Vicforce. It's a one roof when everyone comes in, shares their ideas, and at the end of the day, once you share your ideas, they are saved, and you come up with the good quality things, and those good quality things, they'll get implemented. So basically, that's what we need. We need to come together and share our opinions in terms of policies, in terms of what the investors' perspectives are, the local investors' perspectives are, so that our nation develops, so that our, everyone would have, bread and butter on their tables.
Mr. Goriziroti, I must thank you very much for joining us on the grill, and we certainly wish you all the best in your conference, and I hope it will we'll see in the next 2-3 years, see all the fruits of sitting down in one room, and people weren't mentioning that it was another tea drinking gathering and so forth. Thank you very much for making time and coming through to the grill.
My pleasure, Vale.
Well, Zimbabwe, that's all we had for you in today's edition of The Grill on Classic 263. As we were looking at infrastructure development, the direction we should be taking as a country through government policies, the attitude of Zimbabweans, how they also aid in attracting investors, and what are we doing and what should we be doing to support local investors through policy frameworks. And is conferencing part of the starting point to attract a foreign direct investment and foreign investment in the infrastructure development sector? Those are questions that will remain as the conversation continues on Classic 263 on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Twitter. Stay tuned. Certainly hope you did enjoy today's edition of The Grill. Till next time, do stand by for the news at 8 o'clock.